I call upon Vivek on the stage. He's already on the stage. I should say that Vivek, when we reached out to Vivek initially to be our panelist, he said a yes immediately. After some days, we went back to him saying, Vivek, can you give us a workshop to the Java Fest attendees? Again, the answer was immediate yes. When we published this event, we got much more requests for the seat. Initially, we were planning to have this session for a very small amount of people, but when we started seeing the enthusiasm, we went back to him again and we said, can you make this workshop into a session? Again, Vivek said yes. And mind it, he's very busy. He being the senior cloud advocate with Microsoft, he's super busy, but that has not stopped or reduced his energy to keep sharing his knowledge about how you can move on to cloud. So I'll just hand it over to you.
I end up being the last speaker or the first speaker or just before lunch. And people, they expect me to tell jokes because that's what it is, right? It's almost done and we have to go. I'm standing in between you and swags, coffee, tea, snacks. I don't know what else is there, but I'm standing in between that and the session, right? I don't know why it's not coming. Okay, so today what we are talking about is well-architected framework. I know that slide says Microsoft Azure Well-Architected Framework, but it has nothing to do with Microsoft Azure. It's about framework and how you architect better. You can basically use it with AWS, you can use it with Google, you can use it with Oracle. What else cloud is there? That's it. Only Google, AWS, Azure. DigitalOcean. Okay. Any cloud. Okay. So that's what we are going to talk about. And by the way, this is not a Java framework. Somebody asked me, it's a new framework which has been built by Microsoft? I said, no, this has nothing to do with Java framework. This is an architectural framework. So don't get confused. This is me. I started my career as a software developer at IBM, India Software Labs. Some of you might have heard about Bluemix and other things. I usually don't talk about IBM anywhere because nobody is asking that question to me. Any interviews I go, nobody asks me what you do. So I don't want to talk about it. Anyways, and then I moved to as a DevOps solution architect and being part of the Blackbug, which is a startup. Again, it's a wonderful startup now. It's a unicorn. Back then it was a baby. And I founded one company as well, and after that I joined DigitalOcean as a senior cloud advocate. That's where my marketing journey began. So until now you can see there is a technical journey, there is a marketing journey as well, and then I joined Microsoft as part of the strategy and investment role, and then I'm back to technology there, right? So that's been my journey. So I've been in the product company, service company, building products, startup companies, marketing roles, and back to engineering, right? So that's been my journey. So if you want to get connected, please connect with me, and if you have any questions, do reach out to me. Cool. So I know everybody is waiting to close the session, so I'll be a little fast. So basically, we'll talk about why it is important to be well architected, right? So how many of you are startup here? We are less people, so we can make it interactive. So many of you are building startups. All of you are enterprise. How many of you are enterprise? Nobody wants to raise their hands. Okay. How many of you are both? I mean, it can be, right? You are in service company, you can be both. Right. Cool. So we'll talk about why being well architected is important. We will see the most important pillars of framework, which is the well architected framework. And I'll give you a couple of resources where you can go back and read. Okay. So it is very important to go back and read that. So if I ask question like why being well architected is important, what will be your answer? If I ask you now a question like, do you feel that whatever you're building today is well architected? How many of you tell me that I'm confident that we are cost effective, we are reliable, we are performance, our performance is amazing, we have secure system. Nobody is telling? Oh, this session is for you. Okay, cool. So that is where it comes to, right? So cloud is about making sure that you use cost effectively, right? It was not built for just because I'll go and I can spin up something on the internet. It was actually built for saving cost. So you should make sure that you save cost, even if you're an enterprise or a startup or anybody. You should make sure that you save cost. And how do you tell in confidence that our system is secure? How do you build? How do you talk to your customer and say, okay, you do a lot of marketing stuff, but I can make sure that our systems can scale and our system is performant and it is reliable. Even if something goes down, we can come back, right? So this is something this is something you need to incorporate into your application. So that is why well architected frameworks help you in building such applications. So don't worry about taking this everything, right? You can't be well architected in all the pillars 100%, right? It is a journey. Okay, it is a journey basically towards being well architected. So right now I think you all are being in the journey. It's not like nobody said I'm 100% well architected, but you are still in the journey. So you are there, right? Cool. So this is the link. I would literally suggest you to go home, and it just takes half an hour for you to read through it. So spend some time, read through this this particular link. This particular learn module which is there. Microsoft has learn modules and very well written learn modules. I'm sure most of you would have used it. So go back and try it out. Cool. So these are the pillars of well architected framework. Again, this is not a Java framework. This, if you see here, it is cost optimization, it is operational excellence, performance efficiency, reliability, and security. These are the 5 pillars. Every cloud provider has a well architected framework and pretty much the same. Okay, it's not different, pretty much the same. So it is not something related to only Azure or Microsoft. You can go back and read through the well architected framework of other cloud providers and understand how best you can build your applications, right? So when I say cost optimization, how effectively you are using cloud for cost, and do you have policies in place where you can control cost? So all of these things are very important. And when I talk about operational excellence, how many of you are part of DevOps team here? So 1, 2, 3, 4. So basically your application is agile and you have DevOps in place. You have all those DevOps strategies are in place. DevOps is not just about tools, it's also about people, it's also about processes and other things. Everything is in place. And when I talk about performance efficiency, so how best you can build your application to scale in, scale out, and all those things, right? That is where it is, right? So imagine you are using a Uber app, it doesn't show up, right? It just showing you this what do you call that? Waiting, loading thing. Okay, I'm just checking if anybody is awake or sleeping. Yeah. Okay, so there is a performance issue, right? That is the performance issue. And then there is a reliability issue. I'll tell you a wonderful story of my journey with reliability when we go there. But reliability is such an important thing that we don't really, as a startup or as an enterprise as well, we don't spend much time on reliability, right? Because when the system fails, am I ready to come back? Is the most important question to answer. Anyways, and security, and we all talked about security, right? It's the most important thing when it comes to cloud. So I'll just give you a brief of in a cost optimization. So basically, you're supposed to understand and forecast your cost, right? So that is what is mentioned here, right? You need to forecast what is there in the cost perspective. So if you're building an application, and if you think it is going to scale from X to Y, you need to make sure that you have a forecast of that cost. Otherwise, you will not be able to sustain the cost. I've seen, I know there was one conference, which used I don't want to call it, which used some functions, and I don't want to name any which cloud and other things, but they used some functions and they didn't put the limit, and they played a game on it, and it just went boom. And what happened? The bill was very, very high, right? They played a game. Everybody in the world can play that game. It's online, so they left it open for a day, and everybody started playing, and it just went on. So this is where the issues comes in. If you don't know how to manage it, it's very difficult. If you don't have policies in place where you limit things, where you stop things, and there is a policy being applied, so that is where the challenge comes in. If you need to go and apply these policies, so that is one of the things. And also making sure how do you optimize your workloads, right? Say, for example, you are spinning up a VM, and you are using a VM for a full day, and you don't have any traffic coming in for your application. It's an enterprise application. There is no traffic which comes in between. So how do you manage that? How we can shut it down, especially the developer environments, which is there, where you don't have a dev team actually looking into these VMs or looking into these issues. So how do you bring it down, or how do you optimize it to use the PaaS layer, right? Because PaaS layers like functions, where it will only spin up when it is required, if it will bring down when it is not required, right? So that is how you can use cost optimizations, right? And operation excellence is very much important. You have to build structures with respect to agile, and bring in DevOps as a practice, and that is the most important thing. And obviously there are a couple of tools and other things from Azure. I'm not talking about it because this is pretty general, right? Any cloud you use, there are tools to manage it, tools to build DevOps. So I'm just telling you to bring in DevOps as a practice. Once, not just bringing in DevOps as a practice, but it is also about monitoring your systems. So this is the most, people don't use it, they think that monitoring, especially the microservices, the tracing and other things, they don't put much effort in tracing and identifying performance bottlenecks. And when you identify performance bottlenecks, you will be able to get output from these from the architecture, right? You will be building architecture, and there will be a trade-off. I'll talk about trade-off later, but then there is a continuous improvement. So this has to be done. So you need to improve continuously. You have to make sure that you have to keep working on your DevOps processes, keep working on automations. And one of the important things about in a well-architected framework is going back and training your team. Technology change every day. It changes every day, right? I mean, it's actually changing almost every hour now. so basically you have to go back and train your team better. That's one of the things about well-architected framework. And performance efficiency, we did talk about it. Basically, you need to have a report before something happens, and then you have to have a response to it. So that is what performance is all about, building scale in, scale out kind of strategies. So scale in is nothing but bringing it down, and sometimes you have to bring it up, right? And you have, either you can scale horizontally, there is vertical scaling. So these are all common terminologies used in cloud computing, right? You go back and read about cloud computing, you will be hearing about horizontal scaling, vertical scaling, and other things. And obviously choosing right set of services. You want to choose PaaS, you want to choose infrastructure as a service, you want to choose containers, you want to choose Kubernetes as a infrastructure, as a code, and other things which is required for you to scale better, right? So that is something which you want to make sure. And then there is obviously there is a trade-off in efficiency. So if you build it properly from a performance perspective, if you build it properly with optimizing the resources, then you will be able to scale better. Okay. And again, reliability. So very interesting. And how many of you have written a document on recovery requirements? Recovery requirements. So all of you are in enterprise, right? Huh? No doubt it's an enterprise. So when it comes to startups and when it comes to different set of companies, like even for students, if they have applications running for all these kinds of things, they don't have a recovery document. So it's an absolutely important document where you have defined how you're going to recover from a failure, and everybody has this knowledge of how to recover, and only one person knows how to recover is the problematic, right? And that person is almost dead, right? He'll be asked for every day, right? If something happens at 3 a.m., he'll be asked to come back and do something or fix something. So this is a thing. So everybody in the team should know, and where to find information and how to bring it back is where the important thing is. So this is the most important thing. And there is a wonderful thing about recovery time objective and recovery point objective. How many of you know this? 2, 3? Enterprise again. Okay, so I'll tell you a wonderful story. In HCL, when I was working in enterprise, the customer asked us, how best you can come back if something goes down. It was from data and from the application perspective to tell me how fast you can come back. We did a simple, test, and then said we'll be back by 1.5 hours to 2 hours. We should be back. And then there is 5 months down the line, something really happened, and we went through all of these things, and then how much time we took? 8 to 10 hours. So there was a lot of issues, right? 8 to 10 hours, and customer was like, why? Data has grown, application has grown, things we have added as new services, so we have no documentation of that, right? These are the things, these are the challenges we face in the real world. When you start building enterprise applications, when you start working on startups, you forget to introduce, do all these things because you're more focused on business, and you forget to set up all of these things. When I was in BlackBug, they had only one production, no developer environment, no pre-production, nothing, direct production. When I joined as a DevOps head, imagine my situation. All developers had access, full access, and first week I was seeing, something goes down, one of the developers gets up and says, hey, I'll fix it. He logs in, he does something on that system, and it runs, and again half an hour it fails. Okay, now think about being a DevOps head for that company. Okay, they had only and by the way, they built a production without documentation. Nobody knows what has been installed on the production. Nobody knows what is running, what are the services they have installed. Imagine, highly secure. Huh? Real unicorn. Yeah. So these are the challenges which I have faced, and that's why I'm just quoting it here. It's very difficult to build a production from a production where you don't know anything, and especially you are running with RabbitMQs, you are running MySQL servers, and you are running MySQL servers locally, not even on. Forget about running it on the cloud. Imagine running MySQL servers with server client setup. There are challenges in time and other things. It goes beyond sync, right? So this is the thing. So as I told you, bringing it back and documenting all of these things is very important, and that's the reason why chaos engineering got introduced, right? So you purposefully introduce faults in your architecture, and something fails, you come back from that failure, and you figure out where the issues are, and that is the reason there is a recommendation of testing it, failovers and other things, very important. And then obviously how best you can respond to failures. It's not just respond to failures from the technical perspective, respond to failures from a social perspective as well. This is very important. What is the messaging you're going to give? All these things are very very important, because if something fails, somebody has to message it to the customers that this is failing and these are the things why, and we are fixing it in this time. So you cannot automate that unless and until you know how to respond to this, right? So these are the things which you should be looking into. So from a well-architected framework from Microsoft perspective, these pillars are there. We did talk about cost optimization, operation excellence, reliability, performance, efficiency and other things, and security is one of the things. I didn't go in depth with security, but security is the most important thing. Obviously we all know that. From a Microsoft perspective, what is being offered is basically there is partner and services, and some of you might be the partners for Microsoft, and there is a well-architected review. This is very interesting, and I don't want to do the demo here, but it's basically it's a tool where you go back and answer a couple of questions, and it will tell you whether you are well architected or not. Okay, so it will ask you what exactly you are looking for. You are looking for operational excellence, you are looking for cost optimization, whether you are looking for performance efficiency, and it will ask you bunch of questions, and you answer that question. It will tell you how well architected you are, and basically it also connects to your Azure account and basically tell you where you are going wrong there also. Okay, it basically gives you a report. So this is where it will help you to go back and do the work on couple of things where you can solve problems and you could have many problems in your architecture. So where to put effort is where this report will give you. So that is the most important thing. And there are design principles and reference architectures and documentations. These are all some of the documents which you can go through. But Azure Advisory is a tool basically. You can basically go to that tool and basically figure out where do you stand in terms of this architecture, well-architected framework. So where do you stand? What is your score? If there are some red lines on each of these, then it will show you where to fix it and how to fix it and other things. So these are things which you should go back and see. So yeah. Resilience is part of reliability, sir. So basically, reliability, which I told you, right? So it's basically if one of the machine goes down, whether you have another set of machine which can cater to that service. So there is load balancers and other things. Now, if even that fails, whether you are regional focused, you have applications running in 2 different regions or different data centers, so that even if the data center is down, whether your code is running on the other things, caching is one of the things. So all of these things are part of resilience and robustness. But I would suggest you to go back to and read that thing in the Learn module which I shared, because there you have a detailed thing, because I have only next 5 minutes to close it. So that's why I didn't go in depth. So as you know, the well architecture, if you are well architected, obviously you will know where to focus. So that is the main thing about the slide, where you want to focus and where you want to solve the problem. And there is a trade-off. Okay, investing in well architected framework, there is a trade-off, and I am talking it from a dollars perspective. At the end of the day, everything is money, right? Everything is money. So if you are good and if you are cost effective, you make money. If your performance is good, you have customers, happy customers, money. And then if you secure your workloads and other things, happy customers, they trust you, money. If they don't trust you, there is no point, right? There is no way you're going to get them back. And if they are trusting you, there is money. So that's what the trade-offs are. Obviously there are a bunch of trade-offs. So this is the documentation for that. Again, you can go back and read through this documentation, and spend time on it, so that you can, I would suggest you to go back and at least take that review, the Azure Well-Architected review, nothing to do with Azure, okay, just go and see how well architected your architecture is, and it will give you a report, and that exactly is what you have to build, and it will also give you a thought process in terms of how I should be building an architecture. It's not just about your already built architecture. If you don't have anything, still go back and answer these questions, and it will give you a kind of a thought process, and this is how I need to build architecture, right? So at one point in career, right, it's not about just coding, it's all about architecting it better, and how well you manage your team, from teaching them of all of these things and skilling them to make sure that they also come to your level from the architecture perspective, right? So that is also very important for the growth of the organization and other things. Cool, that's it from my side. So I'm on time, so I finished it. Any questions?